Ladies and gentlemen, we have a huge update coming from the brand new face-to-face with the developers here for the month of March in Rise of Kingdoms. So today we're going to jump right in and see what could potentially be coming for the future of the game. But first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, apologies for covering this a day late. I was not home when this information dropped, so I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on everything that they discuss here today. But of course, as you guys know, I am a partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms, which means they support a few videos on the channel every single month, just like this one. But the most important support comes from you guys dropping a thumbs up down below and subscribing. All right, so these updates come from a goose yesterday at 6 in the morning. She says, please note that many of the topics we'll discuss are still in the early stages and not final plans. This is a chance for us to gather your feedback, so if you have any ideas or questions, feel free to fill out the survey at the end. Your input is invaluable as we refine our plans for the future. And I say this all the time, guys, but the developers are looking for your feedback. They are trying to hear what you guys think and feel about the future and trajectory of the game, so long as you can give them that feedback in a civilized manner. Question 1, can you tell us more about your plans for merging kingdoms? At our Vietnam meetup, we discussed our future plans for consolidating low activity kingdoms. We received a ton of helpful feedback from the governors, and after analyzing the suggestions we received, our dev team came up with the preliminary plan. Special merger stories. Your kingdom will only be eligible for merging if it has completed its first season of conquest story and has a very low number of active players. Okay, that makes sense, right? That makes sense. Why would you want to merge a highly active kingdom? But Dave, you wouldn't want to do that. All right, if selected for merging, your kingdom will only have one story it can register for in its next lost kingdom, King of the Nile, though this may change. The gameplay of this special merger story will be the same as a regular season of conquest story, but at the end of the season there will be a merger period currently planned to last for around 5 days. During this time, your kingdom can form a team with other kingdoms participating in a merger story, even if they're in a different lost kingdom. At the end of the merger period, your kingdom and its teammates will be combined into a new kingdom. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Additional notes: merger stories will only open if there are enough eligible kingdoms to form a matchmaking pool. If there are too many eligible kingdoms, more merger stories will be opened as needed. Obviously, your kingdom can choose to skip a merger story, but it will count as failing to sign up for a story. If a kingdom fails to find a team, or a team's active player count is still too low, this system may intervene. So they might just be like, look, there's only about 3 of y'all in this kingdom. All right, we just gonna merge you, just get you in there. All right, new kingdom naming. Merged kingdoms will have a new kingdom number and name separate from those of its constituent kingdoms. Sounds about right. This way, you know, there's not just one kingdom taking control right away. New kingdom map. Merged kingdoms will have a new map. On this map, all holy sites and passes will be temporarily closed, gradually unlocking as the kingdom chronicles progress. This makes sense. All alliance fortresses, flags, and resource centers will be removed. All resources used to build them will be refunded. Again, this all makes sense to me. You're literally going to form a new community and you're going to have to distribute the power, and that makes sense, right? You won't want to just have one alliance or one kingdom automatically have control over everything. You want to figure it out through diplomacy and whatever the case might be. Other events during the merger period: certain kingdom-wide ranking events, for example Mightiest Governor, will be paused. Merging kingdoms will not be able to sign up for KVK for 2 weeks after merging. New events will be launched in merged kingdoms to help them quickly rebuild. This is really good stuff here. This face-to-face won't go into how other kingdom assets such as special immigration points and vacation permits and kingdom stats, for example rankings, will be handled. Stay tuned for future announcements. That is totally understandable. They don't have everything fully ironed out here. Above is our preliminary plan for kingdom mergers. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to share them with us via the survey related to this article. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I have any feedback for this. This seems pretty logical to me. I mean, to have them kind of go through a merging process through a KVK seems to make sense. It'll be a KVK full of smaller kingdoms, and so ideally they would all be part of one big kingdom at the end and one big happy family, I guess. If not, you'll have a chance to fight it out over the new kingdom map and all of the holy sites and stuff like that. But hopefully there won't be any massive fighting at the beginning of a merged kingdom, because like y'all are already getting a second chance at rebirth here, so hopefully that goes well. But this all makes sense to me. It's better than just smashing kingdoms together and saying, okay, well, this is the biggest one, so everyone's gonna merge into you. This is a good strategy, I think. You guys can let me know in the comment section below if there's anything you think they should change here, and better yet, tell them as well. Question 2, what new game modes are you planning to add? We're currently developing a new game mode tentatively known as Supreme Strife. In this game mode, the top season of conquest governors will be able to form cross-kingdom teams battling other teams teams for control of holy sites on a brand new map. This game mode is tentatively scheduled for every weekend. Wow. Like KvK battles, combat in this game mode can result in your units being severely wounded or killed. At the end of each match, however, you'll be refunded a large portion of your dead units and resources / speed ups for healing severely wounded units. Besides regular item rewards, members of the champion team will receive a rare limited time title they can display. The official name and specific rules for this game mode are subject to change. So this is really interesting. It looks like they're trying to do another sort of, I don't want to call it an Ark of Osiris because clearly it's not that, but a smaller like PvP oriented game mode on the weekends I think is really cool. I think we need more game modes like this that maybe come around more frequently than KvK, for example. And so I'm really happy to see that they're working on something like this, and the fact that you do get sev wounds and deads means that this is going to be a serious game mode. This is not going to be some little like Champions of Olympia little, you know, side mission type thing. This is going to be a serious thing for actual contenders who just want to fight on the weekends, even if they're not in a KvK. So I think that sounds cool. The fact that it's cross kingdom is awesome as well, right? So if not everyone in your kingdom is down for it, but you want to play, then you can play. You're not limited by that. I like that a lot. But the rewards, like the item rewards, would have to seriously be worth it if you are going to risk your actual troops, right? Because this, if you're going to take too many sev wounds or deads here, this will impact the ability that you have to actually fight in KvK, and obviously that's not good, right? So hopefully the rewards here will definitely be worth it. I'm excited for more details when they do finally have them. Question 3, armament transmutation is too difficult. Do you have any plans to optimize this system? All right, let's get into this. Armaments are important here. Our original plan was to implement an armament fusion system, which would work like this. If armament B has a valuable attribute, for example, cav attack plus 3.2%, you can fuse it with armament A with a 50% chance to replace one of armament A's less valuable attributes, for example, gold gathering speed, with the valuable attribute. Our hope was that this would increase the value of armaments with only one good attribute, as they could be used to gradually improve your other armaments, which would in turn make armament events and chests more rewarding. However, we've encountered a number of problems in the design stage. 1, currently it is relatively easy to obtain an armament with a single 2.5% or even greater than 3% attribute, and the max possible attribute bonus is only 3.5%. If this armament fusion system is launched, the gap between armament attributes will rapidly close, and many governors will be able to very quickly max out their armaments. We aren't sure how receptive governors will be to such a balance shifting change. I guess they're worried that, like, you know, the super whales are going to have like this massive advantage here because they'll have a ton of just decent armaments laying around, or at least armaments with one good stat on them, right? Number 2, transmutation stones, transmutation crystals, and this new armament fusion feature would all be systems in service of armament attributes, and the coexistence of all these separate systems runs the risk of making things overly complicated. Due to these issues, we have yet to determine a final plan or launch time for the armament fusion system. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Yeah, this is a great thought. I like the idea here, but they are 100% right with the second bullet point. It is already way too confusing of a system, especially for newer players, and it's a very randomized system. And again, the fact that it would be a 50% chance of adding it is a little bit crazy. I would have loved to have a system like this prior to transmutation stones or crystals, right? I would have rather seen them go this route than go the route that they originally went. I would have rather seen a chance to guarantee get a stat on an armament rather than what we have now, which is simply re-rolling and locking, right? That being said, transmutation crystals and stones are much better than nothing at all. So I think there might be an opportunity here to maybe exchange useless, like, you know, obviously when you recycle your armaments, you have the armament shop that you can spend that currency in, and maybe they can flesh that shop out with more things and maybe give you more currency for recycling, right? So up the amount of currency you get for recycling, especially for the legendary ones, and then maybe provide things in that shop, like just give us more transmutation crystals and stones, right? Like give us more ways to reset armaments, because then at least we're not adding another currency, and at least we're, you know, sort of operating within the systems that we already have in the game that are kind of set in stone, right? That's kind of how I'm thinking about this. I feel like this inscription shard chest giving you transmutation stones, I feel like is kind of crazy. I feel like the number of stones is extremely lackluster, and also maybe transmutation crystals in here instead of transmutation stones should be the strategy, right? If you give people more transmutation crystals and you give people more ways to get them and it's easier to get them, then all of a sudden it doesn't, you know, it's not that big of a deal that we can't fuse armaments, because we can have a reliable way of getting them here, even though it does take a while. And then maybe increase the number of gold coins and inscription shards, maybe give us gold coins and the silver coins based on how valuable that armament is individually, right? So maybe if you have a legendary armament that, even though it has no inscription, if it has a stat that's over 3%, maybe you get, you know, 2 or 3 gold coins for it instead, right? Maybe that's a compromise that we can come to here, because again, I love this feature, right? I love this idea, but I would have rather it been implemented, you know, a year and a half ago or whenever we added transmuting, right? That would have been much better, but instead they went the route that they went, which is fine. I think there's still a way to make the existing systems better with this sort of strategy in mind. All right, question 4, what are your plans for improving quality of life in the future? Our plans for quality of life improvements can be divided into 2 levels: systems and events. On the system level, we want to reduce the burden of everyday activities. For example, we're currently considering adding the ability to automatically attack barbarian troops and search for barbarian forts while you're logged in. On the event level, our priority is to optimize the basic experience of participating in events, such as adding a one-click button to claim all event rewards. We also plan to optimize specific events based on community feedback, for example, Alliance Mobilization and Golden Kingdom. And yes, these are probably the least favorite events, honestly. I've said this in the past, but auto-attacking barbs is such an incredible feature in other games that have done this that I'm kind of surprised they've waited so long to consider this. There's literally no downside to this other than if you're a free-to-play player and you're trying to chain barbarians and then somebody's troops are just out there auto killing and then they start killing your you know, your chain things. But at the end of the day, like, we can't base the game around how a small percentage of the player base plays, right? Like, the truth is most players don't chain barbs, right? I know that it's like a big topic of discussion and it's like meta for free-to-play players and all this other stuff, and let me be clear, I don't want free-to-play players to lose that ability, right? But also, like, we can't build the game around the way that a tiny percentage of players play, right? And also, like, we're kind of speculating on how much they would be affected. I feel like they may not even be affected that much. You would just maybe want to you know, do your chaining somewhere not near other players. That's kind of the only downside I can think of out of this, and it's more so of a what if rather than a guaranteed negative. Besides that, this is all upside, and again, other games do this and it works really well in other games. Everyone loves this feature in other games, so I think it's a no-brainer to add. Also, searching for barb forts, again, this is a no-brainer. This is in other games. There's no downside to doing this. It just saves you time. It's a huge quality of life improvement. It's long overdue. Governors have been asking for this since literally the beginning of the game, and so I think it is time that we I think it's time that we see this for sure. And this goes without saying, but yeah, Alliance Mob definitely needs a rework. Golden Kingdom is better than it was before, but it still takes minimum like 40 minutes, if not more, and even still you might not get 100% on the last one. And I can only imagine how much longer it would take if you were like a much newer player or free-to-play player. It would be even worse, right? So I do think of all the events in the game, I do think that these are the ones that are the most valuable but do require the most fine-tuning. So I think they hit the nail on the head there. Acquiring new armaments in season 2 is unrewarding. A lot of armaments seem useless until Season of Conquest. The Season of Conquest adds many new commanders with new combat mechanics. With these commanders and their mechanics unavailable in Season 2, a lot of the armaments designed for them seem useless. We're currently planning to release certain stock commanders prior to Season 2 while also adjusting the skills of some of these commanders to better fit the combat environment of Season 2. Our hope is that this will allow governors to familiarize themselves with these new mechanics earlier, allowing them to plan out their commander armament development in advance. What? Wait, so we're gonna get some Season of Conquest commanders in Season 2? That's like confirmed? That's what they literally just said, right? We're planning to release certain stock commanders prior to Season 2, so literally before Season 2. What? Honestly, the fact that players find armaments unrewarding in Season 2 is not that surprising, but also I don't think that's that big of a deal, right? Like, you're not going to get like crazy good armaments. At least most players won't. Maybe whales will, but most players won't get like crazy good armaments early on. Most of them are going to be like 2.5% attack with inscriptions are going to be like 3.5% attack or 3.5% defense. Like could be those basic things. It's only the whales are going to get like the crazy effect armaments, right? And so that I don't think is a big deal, but bringing some commanders into season 2 does seem insane, because season 2 doesn't have that many OP commanders. Like you have, I mean, you have Alex YSG period, right? Like that's it, that you're done, right? That's the list of good commanders in season 2. Not to say the other commanders aren't decent, but like, you know, of the like what season 2 commanders could even maybe possibly sort of compete with season of conquest commanders, those are the only 2, right? And so like what commanders could they move? Like maybe they'll move like Philip to season 2, pre-season 2. I don't know, like what could they possibly do? I'm excited to see how this works. I think maybe Shajar is a good possible choice, although her damage factor is just so high for season 2, right? Like it makes Edward useless, right? But at least it would bring mighty healing into season 2. I don't know, like William Wallace, like these are all commanders that it would make sense to, you know, sort of bring their mechanics into season 2 so players get, you know, used to the smite tree, for example, but they're just so much better than all the commanders that are there that it's like, what, I don't know. This is really interesting. I can't wait to see what they actually do here, but yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. High damage makes KvK battles go way too fast. I have to constantly form new troops and spend tons of resources. Are you planning on adjusting the pace of combat? The addition of new commanders and equipment has caused combat to deviate from our original design. As such, we're currently planning on making the following adjustments. In regards to overly high damage causing battles to be too fast, we're currently calculating in-game damage statistics. Based on these calculations, we're trying to optimize the pace of KvK battles by adjusting KvK buffs and crystal technologies. So I can imagine a world where crystal tech starts to get maybe more of defensive stats, right, to combat the fact that there's so much damage output from skill damage and active skills, right? I think that's a reasonable route for them to go. Will that make crystal tech more valuable? For sure, 100%. And I do worry about the discrepancy between free to play and spenders in that world. So because right now the most valuable stuff from crystal tech is march size, right, unit capacity, march speed, all damage, healing reduction, healing cost reduction, and then like at the bottom of the list it's attack percent, right? Like attack percent is good, but it's like out of all the other things that are there, like that's not the star of the show. So if they switched attack percent to like defense percent or health percent even, that would be a big change, and hopefully they don't do that. But adjusting, you know, KvK buffs and crystal tech I think is a good route to go. In regards to excessive resource requirements, we've already launched a feature that refunds healing resource at the end of KvK. We're also considering adding a recurring event where you can trade building and research speedups for healing speedups. I think that is, both of these are true and good, right? We did get the refund of our resources. We like that. Maybe bump the percentage up. I think it's only 10% right now, so maybe bump that up to like 20%, and that would make governors happy. Other than that, yeah, being able to trade speedups is great. Also, again, why don't we just change, like, why not just make the Wheel of Fortune universal speed ups, right? Like at this point in season of conquest, what's the point of there being other types of resources or speed ups there? Like it makes no sense. Just make it universal, and then we don't have to worry about like swapping them. Just like, why not, right? Why not? It makes no sense. Question 7, Kingdom Bugle messages can't be closed and they block unit type selection when forming a rally. How do you fix this? We're already doing that next update. Will you be adding new accessories for combo and smite commanders? We're currently in the design process. There will be more info soon. So confirmed new accessories coming to Rise of Kingdoms. I am excited for that. I can't wait to see what those look like. I mean, man, we haven't seen a big change in the accessory meta in a long time, and this is another reason why, like, if you've been dismantling things to craft your war drums, stop it right now. You're insane, right? You're insane. This is like, at this point, now that we know this, like, you need to not do anything with your accessories until we get more information, because accessories are extremely expensive. You don't want to be, you know, leveling up and refining accessories that may not be best in slot soon, like especially for your, you know, if you're running William Wallace Liu Che and they release a new, you know, Smite accessory, like GG, whatever you might have crafted is garbage now, right? Also, I think if there's something to be said about potentially rebalancing some of the existing armaments. I think that Mora's Web and Concealed Dagger are a little bit underwhelming now, especially if you look at other things like Seth's Call and whatever those other ones are that I don't even remember the name, but the Greatest Glory, Pendant of Eternal Night, like these are all things that should be getting a rework and a buff most likely, but new accessories I think could be pretty cool, although I'm sure the whales are going to be very mad about this, so you know, expect that. All right, can you add the ability to have a separate equipment loadout for canon game modes? It's very tedious. Yes, this will be in the next update. Will you continue to optimize the automatic title appointment feature? We're delighted to see how well received the automatic title appointment feature has been, but we've also received a ton of helpful suggestions on how to improve it further. Features we plan to include the ability to give up titles early, more options for title durations, the ability to set a city hall level requirement, and more. So yeah, all this is good stuff. I love to see this, happy to see this. That is big. Kingdom and alliance management is too much of a pain. We'll be adding more features to reduce the burden. Due to the wide variety of kingdom alliance management styles, our previous optimizations have focused on universal issues such as automatic title appointment, alliance pass list, etc. As we've continued to discuss this issue with the community, however, we've come to the conclusion that our QOL improvements thus far have been far from enough. As such, we'd like to fill out the survey and let them know. This is again very true, very real. Okay, managing a kingdom and an alliance is basically a full-time job at this point for a lot of players, which does not feel good. So I'm excited to see that they're still continuing to make this better, so I'm happy to see that. But guys, that's pretty much everything for this face-to-face with the developers. There's nothing else below this. I know I can't scroll any farther, but this is a lot of changes coming to the game that are potentially really good, right? Really good stuff here. Auto attacking barbs, potentially. Searching for barb forts, potentially. Optimizing alliance mobilization in Golden Kingdom is great. Getting better commanders earlier on is great for new players, to be honest with you. I just wonder how that's going to affect the balance of season 2. Possible more optimizations of the armament feature or armament system is amazing, right? And kingdom merging as well, more game modes, more ways to fight other players. This is all really good stuff. I really like this face-to-face with the developers. The merging kingdom system is good, although I wonder how many governors are going to really benefit from that. I mean, obviously there will be some, right? But like a majority of you watching are probably in an active kingdom already, so you might not be really feeling the effects of this, but the other stuff is huge. So I'm really excited to see what they actually do with this update and when and if this stuff is actually going to come. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this stuff. Is there any glaringly obvious things in here that they need and must do? Is there anything here that they should definitely not do? Let me know in the comment section below. While you're down there, drop a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out to the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.